Hi there, it's Bates here, and I was just thinking and having pondering and meditating and having some thoughts and just remembering what it was like only a few years ago, really in time, in third dimensional time anyway, that we had the thoughts that we could perceive and think the way that we are thinking and perceiving and experiencing life right now. Um, it just crossed my mind, and it really made me remember what it was like to hold on to a thought in the way you could live, and then now to be doing that. More and more of us obviously are awakening to what that feels like, but sometimes I think we miss the 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 we forget what the journey was like. We just remember it as sort of, wow, that was a tough one, or wow, that was really a crazy experience. So I think it's real interesting we have hit that time now where we can actually look back and see what it was like to be living fully in the third dimension. I know many of us seem to be at this place right now where we've started something brand new, that we've awakened to at least a more clear understanding of who we are, in the spirit realm and in the realm of energy and angels and light and and whatever gifts we came here to share with the world. I think we're all starting to experience that a whole lot more now, and it's upon us. It seems like it's happening right now. Um so many people that I'm speaking with that are calling, and we're just talking about what's going on in the world and with themselves and where they seem, and there are just so many of us that are at this place. Okay, we're in it. We've actually jumped over, and we said this is the way we're going to live our lives, and we're doing it, and we're finding it working. Right? It's working. It seems to be in its infancy. It seems to be in a very young state. Some obviously still jumping over and transitioning into more of their fifth dimensional timeline or their fifth dimensional work. So, yeah, exciting times. Very exciting times to actually be able to say this is what my calling is, what I came here to contractually almost, with you and God, with you and Source, with you and your higher self, with you and that higher piece of us, right? That Christ consciousness, we call it, or we call it, we call it many, many names, but it's all the same thing. And once we're experiencing it in these other dimensions, and we can bring it back to wherever it is we are now, which in the timeline we call it now. That I'm hearing it from more and more people, and I feel this, I resonate with it as the fifth dimensional frequency, and the others all out there around us, and we see it and we observe it, but more and more we're not playing into it. We don't need to anymore. There's still some financial things, but I think more and more of us are beginning to barter, and have been for a while, and understanding what that's like. I think there are people with really, really good skills in bartering, but I think really what bartering comes down to is just having a genuine need to make a shift with something you own or something you need, and you just put that out to the universe. Where two or more pray together is a real powerful way to do that too. But when you're calling in the tools so that you can do God's work, the light of Source, your higher self work. When you put that, sorry, I'm really red and splotchy. I've been out working all day in the sun. But when you can put that together, that thought left me. So I'm gonna leave that one alone. That was kind of important. We'll cover it another time. Yeah, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you for joining me today. And you can reach me through Facebook at Go In Outreach. See what we're doing there, all of us working together. So go in outreach. Of course, you can friend me on Facebook, Bates Reed. Yeah, and we'll leave it there. Then once we decide to have a conversation, we can figure out, if we need to talk, or if you would like to come up and do a camping excursion with us, with Timothy and I, and we're offering classes on moving you forward, moving us forward, doing our work, holding whatever space it is we need to hold for each other, as we travel through this greaterness, this ascension work that we're doing. So yeah, welcome. We do have a place, really 1 or 2 people at a time is the way we're doing it, unless we have a weekend or a camp out. But if you have a group of friends that are really, looking for a sanctuary kind of space to spend 2 or 3 days, or even a week, getting real clear with yourself. And I've been using a book called The Gene Keys. I highly recommend it with all of my third dimensional clients, fifth dimensional energy partners. We are working through these gene keys together, and basically I highly recommend you get this book if you're doing ascension work, because it will fill in so many of the blanks that we have had as we've begun this work, where we can see what's going on or what's going to happen, but at the same time we can't see the whole picture. So anyway, but we know where we're going. We know it will continue to guide us. Our faith guides us in the work we do, or our faith in God, our faith in life. I love the word for God, life. A friend of mine, I give him credit for that fully. I asked him one time, I said, what's the word for God for you? And he said, life. And I'm like, yeah, that's really a good one, isn't it? Isn't God just life? We look at darkness as that blackness, that nothingness, that everything that is not what we are working to do, and what we've experienced in God and Source and the light together and individually. And recently, just a little update, I'm living up in Crossville, Tennessee on 15 acres. We have a beautiful pond. You can go to the Go In Outreach and see pictures of the last event that we held here. But you can see pictures of what the place is like. But we've really just been getting our thoughts and letting God's Source, light, Jesus, come through us over the last year. Really keeping to ourselves. I've been keeping to myself and learning, and it's just been an intense training. And I kind of went away from Facebook for a number of months, and I didn't, because I just needed to become nobody for a while. It's been an amazing revelation, letting go of everything that you thought you were, everything you've been taught you were, everything you believed that you should be. And in this work we're doing now, we understand the difference is this is just who you are, and you're having to let go of all of the illusions, all the fractals that were created about yourself need to be brought together, because you've now been able to harness the light that came through the shadow work, through all the really dark, hard work. Now, those have become gifts to you and me. And then those gifts, that's where we work from, because now we've been able to see the shadow. We know its tricks. We know its trickery. We know, some people will call that the demons in them, or actually I'm not joking when I say demons in us. They harbor on that energy and feed it, so that we become more and more third dimensional, more and more dependent, more and more fear-based, more and more everything that we're not supposed to be. So, in this clarity and this consciousness, it's awakening. We're up on this little property here. It's got 15 acres, and I put some invitations out, just a couple. We just got it together to where we did it, because we moved from the Dunlap property back at the beginning of summer, and then within the first week, at least we had a garden in, but we needed to test the ground to see what it's going to do, what we need to do to it over the winter to make sure that there's food here next year, that we can grow it if we're supposed to be here. Again, non-attachment. God will guide us. Have an amazing relationship because we're open and honest between the landowners here and the work we're doing here. We are holding a holy space is what we're doing here. And Tim's teaching a boot camp, a spiritual boot camp, and it's hardcore. It's hardcore. You'll be crying. You'll be like, what am I doing here? You'll get angry because what you have to give up and get rid of hurts really bad, because it is every piece of our essence from that third dimensional reality that was there to serve itself, that was there for us to be selfish. And now we're moving out of that. And you don't think letting go of those things that we thought we needed to survive, to find out that that was all an illusion and it's not at all what you needed to survive. In all of that, you learned a bunch of good lessons, and now you've transitioned those lessons into the light, not the non-shadow. The thing that it was before was the shadow until you uncovered it, until it came to your consciousness to ask what that was, and that you needed to change it. Once you became conscious and aware of it, you began the change immediately, because you're always searching. I've got to change that. Now, the ones that are not waking up, they don't choose to challenge those ideas. They don't necessarily want to ask themselves those questions. I think everybody in one way or another right now is having to go through this, especially with the number of suicides we see, just the elevation of every energy in the third dimension, as is the elevation and the outward expansion of every piece of frequency and energy that's coming through each of us as light workers, through children of God, through the angels, through everything that's doing its work to lift this planet into the new vibration of the fifth dimension, or heaven on earth, as some would call, and there's many other names, but Gaia ascended. And of course we don't know how. None of us know how that's going to happen. I'm sorry, I've been out working and got stuff all in my eyes, and it just can get dirty on the farm, but it's beautiful. Look out there. There's the dogs and chickens, and got the farm out. This is our little compound. I'm sitting inside in the air condition, but I'm in my camper, and then there's the dog camper. We call it the tack room. Dog camper in my office, and then there's a beautiful field behind us. We keep the chickens right there, and there's a truck, and Tim's working on his tiny home over there, and then this is where I hang out, my place, the camper, and yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to share kind of where we are and where I feel like we are going, and we are in for some amazing and beautiful times, my friends, and yeah, it's a lot of work now. You felt like making all these transitions is a lot of work. It is, and I'm feeling. And now someone confirmed it the other day that it's getting easier now. As far as the hard lessons, I think many of us now, at least to get us to the breaking point where consciousness overrides unconsciousness. I think we've made it. I've heard it coming from other people that are expressing what's going on. So I believe that too. Critical mass has been reached. So we do our work, we do our meditations, we stay in silence, right? It's all about talking to your higher self now, to God. And you're a piece of that. You are an integral piece of that, and you came here with a contract, I believe. I came here with a contract. And I'm just now tapping into what that contract is, and all these other lessons were just to get us here, right? The other lessons just got us to here, because this is lifetimes worth of lessons that we're having to karmically dissipate. So we're getting there. Keep doing your work. I would guide you. read the Gene Keys, read the acknowledgement, just like they tell you to do. I'd go online to the thing, to their online. I think you'll find it, thegenekeys.com. Get your book. It's $21. I'm just saying, do it, because it's amazing. You get in there and you'll be guided which of the 64 gene keys to begin working on, and all it is it talks about each of your genes. The genes, the 64 genes and chromosomes, however all that works. There's 64 of them, which make up our DNA strand, and that's all inside us. So we've got to take that shadow, all the darkness that we had to learn from surviving for millennia upon millennia upon millennia, and untwist it and get to figure out what it is. But now we can actually take these gifts and tools through the Gene Keys that Ralph Rudd wrote. Man, you read it and it takes you a minute to process it, and you're like, oh, and it just fills in another blank, and it literally that quickly I'm seeing just huge transformation in myself from unlocking knowing what it is that's been holding me back, because it's right there in my face. I can read it now. I can understand it. And then taking it, hearing the understanding and the message, interpreting it energetically, and transforming it immediately. So there's some powerful things coming out for us all to work on, to work with, to get our tools really nice and clear as we move. Great stuff, right? Great stuff. So anyway, y'all have a great day. Namaste, namaskar, amen in Jesus' name. And all my other Ascended Masters that work with me. Every piece of energy, my family that sends me love, that aren't with me, to the angels, the archangels that surround me and work with me. I say thank you for guiding us to this next place where we all can hold hands, work together, and do really dynamic and amazing things on Gaia and the fifth dimension as we transform it together with her and God leading it, guiding us all understanding, hearing, because we can hear that still small voice inside ourselves now instead of the other racketeer, egoic voice that led us down the wrong paths. Some would call them the messages of Satan, of darkness. You know, for a long time I went away from even believing there was that in my metaphysical teachings. Now, what I've learned is because I was attacked by them, and it changed my entire world to this day. But the beauty of it was coming out the other side when everything you had was washed away, and you popped your eyes up out of this sand dune, and all you could see was nothing except a blue sky. And for me, when that revelation came about 2 years ago, it's just been this amazing movement forward, getting stuck at times, having to really work through some, right, because now, right, we're working on our deepest stuff to make this ascension, because we have to be at that frequency, at that vibration, and we have to keep ascending with it up, or outward, I should say, just expanding outward that frequency, because as these gamma rays are coming in, they're increasing our frequencies, and whatever other rays that we don't even know what to call them, I'm sure. But as this comes in, you know, the megahertz at which we are operating at now, consciously in consciousness, is ridiculously high. I remember when it was like 10, 11, 12, when you were getting into the higher numbers, and now we're in like, I don't know, I know I've heard 60s, 70s, but I've also heard in the hundreds, and we can be up in the mid hundreds now for all I know. I'm not up on that one right now, but if we don't keep up with that frequency vibration and keep opening our hearts to the love of the Christ, the love of God, the love of Source, we don't just keep opening it and unlocking every door within us, we explode. And you see so many people out there, suicides are just out the roof. And we knew it was coming for years, right? We knew this was coming. We knew this was coming. And it's been happening for years now, too. So, you know, wake up, do your work, or you won't be here. You will choose